Hello everyone, I'm Travis, and let's get Wanderlost. In our last video, we went over the first two ports of our Mediterranean cruise, which were Palma de Mallorca and Marseille, France. In this video, we are continuing our Mediterranean cruise with our third port, which is La Spezia, Italy. La Spezia is typically a port where people will take an excursion over to Florence, Italy and Pisa, Italy. Florence is roughly 2.5 hours away from the port that Royal Caribbean uses, and Pisa is about an hour and a half away. Nicole and I weren't really interested in sitting on a bus or a shuttle for an hour and a half to 2.5 hours to go to an excursion to either Pisa or Florence, so we started looking for something different. And in this video, we're going to go over that something different, which is Cinque Terre, which is a national park on the Italian Riviera. First off, in the port of La Spezia, Italy, it is a working commercial port, and you have to take a free shuttle from the actual cruise ship to the cruise terminal, which is right by the harbor. At the cruise terminal is pretty much where you would pick up wherever you were deciding to go, either via an excursion, or a taxi, or just walking around the city and the port of La Spezia. The port area around the cruise terminal is actually really nice. It reminded me a lot of Marseille, France. So let's talk about our plans to go to Cinque Terre. As I briefly said earlier, Cinque Terre is a national park on the Italian Riviera that includes 5 historic villages. We did a lot of our planning by using a pocket guide that we picked up from Amazon by a company called Lonely Planet. One of the first things we did in planning for this trip was actually go to the Cinque Terre National Park website and purchase the train card. The train card is essentially your admission ticket to the national park, and of course it includes the train from La Spezia to the national park. It also includes all of the hiking trails and actually free Wi-Fi through the entire national park. You can take a taxi from the cruise terminal to the train station, but Nicole and I decided to walk. This was actually a 27-minute walk through the city of La Spezia. When we finally got to the train station, the train to Cinque Terre is actually on the platform 2, and it goes basically right to the national park. It is the Cinque Terre Express. This train will stop at all 5 of the villages within the national park, and it's about 3 to 4 minutes between each village. Unlike American transportation, the train to Cinque Terre was actually very clean and very comfortable. During our initial planning of this trip, Nicole and I were planning to hike between the villages, but the weather was pretty bad during our time inside the national park. It was really raining and had some severe weather. So we changed our plans to just take the train between the villages and then explore each one of the villages. The first village we went to is Monterosso, which was the furthest village from La Spezia. Monterosso is a little bit different than the other 4 villages within the national park. It doesn't have the dramatic hillside or cliffside city with the marina below it. It's more of a long beach and then a offset city that's a little bit further away from the water. From the train station, if you want to head towards the main sites that you're going to want to check out, you're going to walk along the beach. I'm sure this beach probably looks amazing when the sun is out, but again, we had awful weather while we were here, and we were just happy it wasn't raining on us. Through this video, I'm going to show you some of our footage from us walking around the national park and the villages. Probably won't do too much talking during those little clips and stuff, so just make sure you enjoy and check out the sights. As you head up the hill towards the city of Monterosso, there's actually a World War II pillbox that was created or built by the Germans on the edge of this hillside. The main thing that we decided to do in Monterosso is actually go up to the top of the hill and check out the convent. This is actually the convent of the Capuchin Friars and has been around for over 400 years. Within this is also the Chiesa di San Francesco, which is a black and white church that actually has some really good artwork, including a original work from Van Dyck. Make sure you don't miss the statue of St. Francis and the Wolf that overlooks the Mediterranean Sea. It provides a very dramatic view of the ocean. If you pass the church and continue up the path up the hill, you'll actually find the cemetery. We walked around the cemetery for a little bit and paid our respects before heading back to the train station to head to the next village. To head to the next village, you actually take the train towards La Spezia, and the first stop is Vernazza. Vernazza is one of the first villages that actually reminds you of the postcard images of the national park. It actually has a street lined with the red and orange and yellow buildings and that are filled with shops and restaurants that lead to the water. In Vernazza, we pretty much did the touristy thing. We walked through the shops, checked out the merchandise, kind of scoped out the food situation, and took a lot of photos. And here's pretty much the images that you see either on your screensavers and postcard images of the national park. And this is exactly the type of shots that we were looking for. We just wish we had better weather so it looked even better. As you stand at the marina, just make sure you look down into the water. There are a million little tropical fish just hanging out right below you. I was in awe of how many fish were actually down there. One of the things we didn't realize before we started planning this trip was this national park actually inspired the city in the Disney Pixar movie Luca. So when you walk around each one of the villages, you can actually see the inspiration for the fictional city of Monterosso. And it comes to life, and we just wish we had the bright sunny blue sky that actually made it look like the cartoon, but close enough while we were there. So after hanging out in Vernazza for a little bit, we decided to take the train over to Cornelia. In Cornelia, we had to try Alberto Gelateria. If you watch some of our other videos, especially the ones from Odyssey of the Seas, you should know that we love gelato. And I will absolutely say that Alberto Gelateria in Cornelia, inside this national park, had the best gelato we've ever had at any place, anywhere in the world. I definitely recommend the honey lemon flavor. It was unbelievable. We actually ate there twice before leaving to go to the next village. Inside the village of Cornelia, we actually just walked around the narrow little passageways, did some shopping in the little shops, and like I said, we had the gelato, which was unbelievable. And at the tops of some of the little hills, we took photos, and there's a couple churches you can check out. Cornelia was one of our favorite of the 5 villages. When you get to Cornelia from the train station, there's actually 3 ways to get up to the actual city or the little village. One is a long road that goes up the hill, kind of winds back and forth. That's pretty easy to walk. The other is, when they run, is like little shuttles. They look like golf carts, essentially, with that carry a bunch of people. And the third, is the stairs. Oh my. So glad we went down the stairs and not up them, because wow. After we were done exploring Cornelia, we got back on the train and headed over to Manaola. The first thing that we did in Manaola was actually hike up this mountain and check out the Church of San Lorenzo and the gigantic bell tower that overlooks the entire city. We were going to eat at a restaurant called Trattoria Dal Billy, which has some really high reviews when you look it up, but unfortunately on this day it was not open. So instead we walked one of the alleys at the top of the village and kind of checked out the sights and some of the other restaurants that were in the area and got some really nice viewpoints with some unbelievable views of this village. In this little village of Monterosso, we actually stopped at one of the little, kiosks that sells flatbread and got a quick snack before we headed off to the next village. I wish I knew the name of the restaurant that we went to, but unfortunately I didn't take a photo, and it wasn't all that great or memorable, so I guess just skip it and go to the next village for food. The last village of the 5 that we visited was Riomaggiore. Riomaggiore is probably the most visited of the 5 villages within the national park, and it is home to the visitor center for the national park if you're interested in checking it out. It's also the village that probably most represents the postcard image of Cinque Terre when you actually look up what this national park looks like online. When you go up the side of the marina in Riomaggiore, you have some of the most breathtaking views within this national park. It is just spectacular. I can only imagine what it looks like with, again, a bright sunny day instead of cold and rainy. There is a ton of little shops and restaurants and little kiosks through the entire city or village of Riomaggiore. Make sure you spend time to check them out. I would say this village was probably our second favorite after Cornelia, and it was just super cool just to walk down these streets. We decided to get food at Il Pescato Cucinato, which is a little fried fish or fried seafood in a cone type restaurant. The fried fish was definitely the better of the 2 that we got, and I definitely recommend you get it if you're ever in this national park and you're looking for some food. After we ate and explored a little bit, it was getting late. We had spent a lot of time exploring all these villages within this national park, and we needed to head back towards the ship. So we took the train back over to La Spezia, walked all the way to the cruise terminal, and then took the shuttle back to Symphony of the Seas. Our time in Cinque Terre was just unbelievable. We got to do a little bit of hiking. The weather again was not the greatest, but we absolutely loved exploring these villages and would recommend anybody try it out and see if you like it as well. So if you have any questions about this port, Cinque Terre, or anything that we might have done on this Mediterranean cruise, please leave them in the comments section below. And as always, make sure you like and subscribe.